Today on Locked On Rockies, continuing to look at the positions for the Colorado Rockies. Another interesting one as we go around the infield right next to third base. What do you find? Well, it's shortstop. And once again, the Colorado Rockies are looking to the future. They're looking young and they're hoping for another breakout season from a rookie in Ezequiel Tovar. What about depth, though? Who else can the Rockies turn to play shortstop? And will shortstop play a role in getting more prospects on the field?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 21st day of February in the year 2023. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every single day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what? You are in the right place, because that's what we do around here each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find us talking about the Colorado Rockies and a whole lot more. Well, most of the Colorado Rockies. That's what we do. That's what we want to talk about. But we're proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. All you got to do is search Locked On Rockies. It'll take you to where you need to go. You can also find us first and also free and live on our YouTube channel, Locked On Rockies. You can be part of the Locked On Rockies live chat, have your questions answered live on the show, get a shout out and stuff as well. We got a great crew of Rockies fans that love to tune in for the live chat, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. And folks, you guys are definitely getting excited for Rockies baseball. I'm seeing it out there. I'm loving it. And we'll keep building things and having some fun as we go through the preseason and spring training together. Today on the show, we're talking shortstop. And you might be sitting there wondering, what's there really to talk about shortstop? Isn't it pretty obvious what the Rockies are going to do at shortstop this year? Well, yes, the Rockies are going to go with Ezequiel Tovar. He's going to be the starter. The thing that might get in the way, and I mean, I guess I've kind of operated under the mindset and the idea that he's already been named the starter, that this is the plan. I mean, it certainly seems that way. I think if you weren't ready to do something like going after or like working with Ezequiel Tovar or trusting him or giving him the playing time, I think the Rockies probably would have been way more aggressive and way more interested in bringing back Jose Iglesias. There's no reason to let Jose Iglesias leave if you're not ready to commit to Tovar, or look at some of the options that you have on your roster. I want to kind of take a first look here and kind of continue the conversation from yesterday, and kind of the big theme that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks and throughout the season as well is, how are the Rockies going to find a spot for all of these players? Well, Tovar might not play every day, or might not be considered the starter, quote unquote, or might have, struggle or things of that nature. And shortstop might be filled by someone else. And the obvious answer for the Colorado Rockies is to just slide Ryan McMahon over it. I was very clear that I didn't want Ryan McMahon playing shortstop, but in this instance where it frees up a situation for Elehuris Montero to get on the field at the same time, it's a no doubt, no brainer for the Rockies. If Tovar isn't in the lineup, Ryan McMahon should slide over. That frees up Montero. That gives you first base. That gives you right field. All those players have a position. You can figure out what you want to do with some of your prospects, as you have to navigate your outfield depth. Of course, you got Crone, who could be a DH or play first. And then, again, you can put some of these other guys, and maybe the Rockies will put rookies in the DH spot this year. Guarantee it. No doubt about it. The Rockies will use the DH as a way to get their young guys at bats. Absolutely. But I don't want to put, I was hesitant to start like this because I don't want to put bad energy out there about Tovar. I'm not trying to do that, but I've operated and kind of told you guys all this offseason about Tovar the shortstop. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. But there has to be a reality where Tovar's not going to play every single day. He might. but he's also a rookie. He's also young, and things do happen. Like you have to have in the back of your mind, what is the Rockies' contingency plan if things don't go wrong, or if things don't work out, or if something happens. It's a lot of baseball, or if it's an off day. Any of those reasons. What will the Rockies do at shortstop if it isn't Tovar? It's really easy. Ryan McMahon can play shortstop. Ryan McMahon's infield utility is honestly a reason why he is someone that is nice to have. A lot of teams would enjoy having Ryan McMahon because he is a very versatile player. I think we've criticized, and there's been some criticism of McMahon that's kind of rightfully so, of I think trying to of the fact that he's kind of sometimes not always clutch and things of that nature. But Ryan McMahon is a really great player to have, in the sense of, you can't sit here and say that Ryan McMahon is going to be a downgrade at any of the three positions that he plays on the infield. Ryan McMahon will play a great or great shortstop. He will play a great third base, and we know he can play a good to great second base. I mean, it's very, very helpful. I think a big reason why Ryan McMahon got the extension is because we've talked a lot about prospect blocking, but Ryan McMahon is kind of your perfect piece to just, you need to fill in there. And again, Rogers maybe DHs, maybe to get him off his feet a little bit. And you can put McMahon in so many different places, and that frees things up. I think you're going to see Ryan McMahon play a good chunk of shortstop this year for the Colorado Rockies. And that's not really a bad thing. If it is a bad thing, if things aren't going well with Tovar. That's the big issue. We don't want to see McMahon playing too much shortstop this year. But if McMahon slides in and plays, maybe 2 games a week or something like that, a game a week at shortstop, and Montero's getting time at third, that then the Rockies can then do a multitude of things with first base. So that's a big part of the depth. The depth for the Rockies at shortstop behind Tovar is Ryan McMahon, most likely, because the Rockies can have other pieces that they can put where they need to go. However, this is Tovar's time. This is the moment in the spring. He is one of the players to watch. I would say maybe outside of Zach Veen, Tovar is probably the number 2 guy you should be watching a ton this spring, because the Rockies are doing it again. And is this the right move? Are we going to be confident about this move? And how do we feel about Ezequiel Tovar? Let's talk about that coming up here in segment number 2, as we talk about the state of the positions for the Colorado Rockies. Before we do that, if you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. They got so many delicious flavors that you can check out. They got churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, and they even got the puffs, the marshmallow brand. It's the craziest texture. I tell you, folks, you are not going to know what to expect when you bite into a Built Bar puff. I tell you, it is a ride, and you're not going to believe the macros on the Built Bars. You can see it all for yourself at Built.com. But some of the macros for some Built Bars, they got 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And Built.com used to be your number 1 spot for Built Bars and Built products. Well, it still is, but guess what? You can head to your local Sam's Club or Walmart today. You can check out that 4-bar box, maybe a 13-bar box of your favorite, maybe brownie batter, maybe the coconut puffs. I don't know. Maybe you're just like a classic cookies and cream. You can see all sorts of delicious flavors and the macros, so you can see for yourself how a bar covered in 100% real chocolate can be so tasty with such great macro charts. Yeah, the things you got to look, the little label. You got to open them up. You got to see the things that have all of the nutritional information on there, and you can check it all out at Built.com. And folks, once you dig in, you can thank me later. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, recorded live on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Rat King, Eric Harper, and Brandon Kramer are here. Rat King says, these streams are the best part of my workday. Thanks. And I say, thank you. That's the best compliment someone really can give me. Makes my day every single time. And of course, Eric's tuning in here. He's the diehard new Rockies fan. He's been here for a while. And of course, Brandon's joining us, and he's wishing us a good day, and a good day to you as well. It's a good day to be Ezequiel Tovar. And we're going to talk about that here in segment number 2. But before we dive into that, it's a good day also to make Locked On MLB Prospects your second listen of the day. And there's also a big-time slate of Colorado sports coverage on the Locked On Podcast Network. You got the Locked On Broncos, you got the Locked On Nuggets, you got the Locked On Avalanche, and you got the Locked On Buffs podcast going all right now. So you can check all that out here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course, this is Locked On Rockies. Ezequiel Tovar. I'm excited. I mean, again, if it wasn't for Montero, Tovar would be just such a thrilling thing because Ezequiel Tovar is exciting. Ezequiel Tovar, when you just hear about someone that just absolutely screams through the minor leagues, I mean, just absolutely dominates. He was just so good. So good. And the minor league level. Here, 285 at-bats here in his minor league career in 2022. 319 average, a 387 OBP, an OPS of 927. He hit 14 home runs in that time, 49 RBIs, 17 stolen bases, 91 hits. Yes, please. That is exciting. What it's a good sign when the Rockies have an exciting young shortstop, is it not? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of misdirection. The Rockies somehow might stumble their way into another good crop of prospects. And I guess if all of these prospects, especially Tovar and Montero, pan out, maybe it's not so much stumbling. I will happily eat my words if the Rockies once again have a dynamic, awesome, young, exciting shortstop. Because that is exactly what you need to reinvigorate the Colorado Rockies and reinvigorate the interest in this team and reinvigorate a winning mentality. Here's the deal. The Rockies could lose a lot of games this year. But if the Rockies lose a lot of close games, headlined by the fact that Ezequiel Tovar is flashing the leather, he's making great plays, and he's swinging the bat well, that is a tremendous sign for the Colorado Rockies. It is exactly what we want to see from this year. And one of the biggest wins the Rockies could have this season is Ezequiel Tovar is one of the top performers of the Colorado Rockies. Doesn't have to be all, again, I'm keeping it right here on the team. Doesn't have to be all-star, doesn't have to be rookie of the year. That's cherry on the top. If he turns out to be Julio Rodriguez, then incredible. We get to freak out and we get to really get excited about that. But for just in the scale of the Colorado Rockies, if Ezequiel Tovar is one of the Rockies' top performers, that's a good sign. Now, again, we've talked about how overall the Rockies' top performers weren't all that good last year. They're not necessarily great or elite or and things of that nature. But what are we looking for? Are we greedy enough to the point where we need Ezequiel Tovar to be an immediate success right away? He's the best thing since sliced bread. He does what Trevor Story does again. He hits all those home runs. He's jumping up because I think, there might be some unfair expectations for Tovar that people are going to want him jumping and making plays like Tulo and hitting nukes like Trevor Story. When instead we need to make sure that we're getting the Ezequiel Tovar so we can find that what he excels at the most and what his identity will be. And I think by allowing him to be the starter, by giving the confidence in him, like it seems like the Rockies are, this is the moment for Tovar to kind of show up, show out. And I think he will be successful. There is little reason for us to sit here and believe that Ezequiel Tovar is not going to be a good, if not great, baseball player. The line to get into the great and wonderful and all-star threshold is another thing. I want Ezequiel Tovar to be good. That is good for me. We, of course, want players to be great, but that might take time. A good season from Ezequiel Tovar is a good sign. If he even gets close to replicating any of that success from the minor league level, say it's down to, say the line kind of drops a few points, but if he bats in the 280s, he can get into the double digits of the home runs, snags double digit bases, gets 50 RBIs for the Rockies and almost 100, gets over 100 hits while playing great defense. Come on. What did he do in his last game? What did Ezequiel Tovar do? He went yard. Not just yard. Ezequiel Tovar went yard off of a certain pitcher. I think we've, you've heard about this pitcher before. He's kind of a bit of a big deal. You guess yet? He goes into Dodger Stadium. He comes up in a big moment. That's the type of stuff we're ready to see. That's what we want to see. Clayton Kershaw, 2-2 pitch, top of the second, and he just absolutely ropes that ball. Crushed. And that's in the middle of the end of a tough season for the Rockies, and they're playing their 6th straight game in LA. Lots to be excited about from Tovar. Let's dig into a piece from Thomas Harding here at MLB.com. Mature beyond his years, Tovar to take up mantle of shortstop. Thomas Harding here, MLB.com. You can go read it. Ezequiel Tovar looks and acts as if he's done it before, even if he's barely done it at all. He debuted last September 23rd as the youngest position player in Rockies history, just weeks past his 21st birthday. The sum effect of his assuredness and his work in the majors is that the Rockies feel confident in giving their number 2 prospect every shot to be their opening day shortstop. When the Rockies speak of Tovar, their words don't match his age. Maybe it's because they saw him seemingly grow up fast. Spotted at age 13 while living away from his Marseille, Venezuela home, playing against older pitchers at 17, and stuck in the U.S. during the 2020 pandemic shutdown, Tovar impressed everyone with his maturity. And if you did, and there's more from that, but I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. It'll be hard to match his spring training last year when he hit .550, 11 for 20 with 3 home runs and 2 doubles to win the Abby Greer Award as camp most valuable player. He started Double-A Hartford, 318, batted .318 there with 13 home runs, 47 RBIs in 66 games before he got injured. And in Triple-A Albuquerque, batting .333, won a home run in 5 games. And he showed confidence all the way. So the Rockies are confident in him, and Rockies general manager Bill Schmidt was a coach there that he's watched Tovar for a long time, and he's emphasizing that his job is there to make the routine plays, and that's the other thing. The focus there, and I recommend you go read more because it dives into a lot more of what Ezequiel Tovar has overcome, and man, that pandemic stuff. There's a whole section on that stuff. You should go read Thomas's piece, but that's the type of stuff that gets you excited when you're kind of looking about all the overall round things of a player and someone that you're kind of confident in going to. I mean, that's a lot of pressure he's already dealt with. So being in the majors should be part of it. And in his short stint, he was ready to go up against one of the best in the business and handled it there. It's not going to be pretty all the time, and there's going to be some issues, and he's young. We have to give Tovar a little bit of time and a little bit of credit. Remember how many times Trevor Story struck out while he was hitting all those home runs for the Rockies when he first came out onto the scene. This is the type of guy to be excited about, though. This is the type of guy that has proven himself and outside of and could have had an even more special season within the minor leagues if he didn't get hurt. If he doesn't get hurt last year, who knows what would have happened for Ezequiel Tovar. It could have been even better. So when I think about the Rockies going back to this model, and is this the right idea? Is this a smart move for the Rockies? I say yes. There is nothing to lose for the Colorado Rockies this year by trusting Tovar. Of course, he's got to prove it. He's got to earn it. I mean, he's got to go through spring and he's got to perform. But why are we to doubt what Tovar is capable of? Why are we to doubt what Tovar has done up to this point? Why sit there and look at what can go wrong? Let's look at what he's done and let's hope for the best. because that's what you do in a season like this. We have to take the wins when we're going to take them, even if they're not wins on the field. If the Rockies are losing close game, but Tovar keeps getting multi-hit games and playing great defense, that's a thing to watch for. Same with the other prospects. This season is about perspective. And I think Tovar has the perspective of how to be a starting shortstop and how to be the starting shortstop for the Colorado Rockies. Let's talk a little bit more about the possibilities, what Tovar is capable. Not necessarily so much of what he's capable of, but we'll see what we are really looking forward to. And a quick little brief about Tovar. And again, I think just kind of emphasizing a little bit more our points on McMahon filling in this and why this is a good idea for the Rockies to go this route. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook, the number one sportsbook in America, is here to guide you all the way through not only the rest of NBA season, but NHL and your future bets for baseball as well. New customers can go get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Let's take a look here. What's going on FanDuel for some basketball action? I believe they're back in action tonight, are they? Nope, still on break. So let's take a look at some hockey action. See if the Colorado Avalanche are playing tonight. They're also off. Okay. How about Villanova and Xavier? You can bet on the spread, which is plus 4.5 for Villanova, or maybe the over-under at 148.5. So you can check out all the action and more at FanDuel Sportsbook. And FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with same-game parlay. Don't miss out on your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are talking about the Rockies. We're talking about shortstop here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Why don't you make Locked On MLB Prospects your second listen of the day, or check out the whole slate of Colorado sports coverage with the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets, and now Locked On Buffs as well. I'm a Rams guy, though. Like I said, go Rammies, I guess. I'm really an Ohio University guy. That's where I went to school. So that's more where my loyalties lie. Anyway, to kind of summarize the state of the position for the Colorado Rockies, this is the right type of way to handle this type of season. And the best part with the Rockies, too, is they have another guy in Nolan Jones that we've kind of not really talked a ton about. They have Brent Bowden. They have other utility players that are probably going to see some shortstop as well. But with Ryan McMahon being the ultimate kind of guy to be able to fill in wherever you need on the left side of the infield, Tovar, the job is his to lose. And again, I really think the mindset with the Rockies right now and Rockies prospects should be, let's focus on what these guys are capable of. Let's focus on what these guys have kind of shown us already. Well, let's focus on what these guys have done at the minor league level. And let's focus on the fact that the Rockies take these guys, hold these prospects, the ones that are especially Tovar, in very high regard. As much as I like to sit here and think I know best, I'm also not. I'm not running everything. I'm not watching them. I'm no baseball. I'm not an expert. I'm not. They know the game better than I. Sure. So instead of allowing the dread narrative of the Rockies to continue, and it might be a dreadful season, we can at least, again, it feels better when the Rockies are at least going with the young guys, and that's what they're choosing to do. And I think Tovar has shown, like we read in the article, that he doesn't really have the mindset of a young guy. He's a guy that has been trying to fight for every opportunity to be here and every opportunity to succeed, including being stranded in the United States during a pandemic. It sounds like the Rockies have the right guy to play shortstop. He's performed at the minor league level enough for us to have the confidence. And in his brief, small sample size, he wasn't dominant, but he played like 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, whatever it was. Doesn't matter. It is Tovar time, and it is time to be excited. Eric Harper says continuity should equate to at least a modest improvement on offense. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how these young guys handle this pitching. This pitching is gonna be nasty. They're gonna come into Seattle. It's gonna. I mean, there are some places that they're gonna go. They're gonna see some nasty pitching. So we'll see how they're able to hold up. But instead of the Rockies going out to be a team of that was one of the oldest in baseball, they will drastically decrease in age, and that's a good thing for the Rockies. So what's the state of shortstop? It's Tovar time. The Rockies are going with the rookie, and let's be excited. Let's hope for the best, and I think we're gonna see. I'm saying hope for the best. Some people calling him a dark horse, rookie of the year candidate, like RJ Anderson over here at CBSSports.com. Tovar forced his way to the majors just weeks after celebrating his 21st birthday by hitting a combined 319, 387, 540 across AA and AAA. He didn't take quite as well at big league pitching, but it was across all of 9 games, so who cares? Yep, I would agree with you there, RJ. Besides scouts like his bat to ball skills enough to envision hitting for average and some power at his peak. Even if Tovar never finds himself batting cleanup, he should enjoy a lengthy career thanks to his glove. He's a fluid defender with a good arm who makes it look easy. Tovar should serve as the Rockies' starting shortstop in 2023, and if his offense can catch up to his glove work, he'll be a dark horse contender to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's a pretty good way to summarize it there. The defense is going to be there for Tovar. We're confident in that. Can he catch up and hang with that major league pitching? He got one of the best in one of his things, but like we said, the sample size too small for that case. But Tovar is going to make some plays on defense, and we can't wait for that. Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. You can find us on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find your team every single day. You can find us first and live on the Locked On Rockies podcast channel, where you can be part of the YouTube chat, just like Eric Harper, Brandon Kramer, and Rat King were today. You can also find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. Why don't you go make Locked On MLB Prospects your second listen of the day, or any of the wonderful Colorado-themed Locked On podcasts, the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs podcast. Until next time, folks, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.